What you're seeing here is Drifto's new road properties system, changing the behaviour of the car as it's driving over different road surfaces. The goal of this system was to have the surface that the car is on change how the game plays. I wanted the road surface to affect friction properties of the car, the visual effects shown, and the sound played when sliding, to give the stages and the different areas in them more life. The system consists of a handful of components. The car settings scriptable object contains most of the information on how the car behaves. This includes the friction values, sound, and a score multiplier for each type of road surface. This is implemented as an instance of the friction properties struct for each surface type. Friction properties just contain some friction values, a sound clip, and the score multiplier. The road properties component defines what type of surface the object is. The road properties contains just one public field, surface type, an enum of the same name. The wheel component is responsible for determining what surface the given wheel object is on. It does this by looking for the road properties component on the object it is touching. If the wheel is touching an object but there is no road properties component, it will return unspecified. If there is no object at all, none will be returned. The car switcher, wheel collider effects, car sound controller, and score controller all use these pieces to make the magic happen. The car switcher handles the friction side of things. It updates the sideways friction of each wheel individually, based on the surface they are on. The component uses the values defined in the friction properties for the surface the wheel is on from the current car settings instance. The exact maths used for calculating the current friction value and the resulting behaviour is explained in the previous devlog. The wheel collider effects is in charge of making it look good. It manages trail renderers and particle systems for a given wheel. Each wheel of the car has a few children related to these effects. The exact structure doesn't really matter here. What does matter is that attached to these children are the trail renderers and particle systems. The wheel collider effects, which is attached to each wheel, enables and disables these based on the surface the wheel is on and some settings define the component itself. These settings are defined through wheel particle config structs, each containing a trail renderer, particle system, and some criteria on when to enable them. The wheel particle configs are defined here rather than on the car settings, as in Drifto they're going to be the same for every car. If the effects could differ between cars, then they'll go on the car settings. A quirk I found with Unity 2019's trail renderers and particle systems is that they will not play if you disable and then enable them in one frame. This was a problem, as I was trying to allow for multiple wheel particle configs to reference the same component, meaning simply iterating over all the configs and enabling or disabling them wouldn't work. Decisions made on earlier configs may be overwritten by later decisions. I got it working by iterating over the configs twice. First, to enable the effects that should be, and take note of them. Second, to disable all the effects that weren't noted down in the first loop. In terms of the road surface system, the car sound controller is responsible for playing the correct skid sounds. Because there is just one of these on the car, it needs to support playing multiple sounds at once. The car sound controller does this by orchestrating a handful of audio sources. One audio source is used per audio clip. When a given clip should play, the audio source is enabled. If the clip shouldn't play, we just disable the source. And, if no source exists, we create one. It would have likely been easier to have 4 preset audio sources, one for each wheel, but I think the solution is much cooler. The score is also affected by the surface the car is on. This is purely for balancing purposes. As the score is currently calculated from just angle and speed, without any means of balancing, the cars with more grip would have a disproportionate disadvantage. So, a multiplier for the score given in one update is calculated by taking the mean of the score multipliers at each wheel. Like the other aspects of the system, the surface that each wheel is on is taken into consideration. So, all else equal, the score a player earns is proportional to the number of wheels on the road. By the time you're watching this update will be live and available on the Google Play Store and Apple App Store, so please go try it out. To conclude this video, I want to say a massive thank you. I couldn't have dreamed of this much support and feedback this early on. I had real high hopes of Drifto in the last 2 devlogs, but nothing like what I received. Many of the suggestions shared were incredibly insightful and clever. I'm only sad that I won't have a chance to implement and explore all of them further. Again, thank you so much. Please keep the feedback coming. I'll see you in the next devlog. Haere rā.